Another night and another series of Russian drone strikes on Ukrainian cities and energy infrastructure. The attacks show that despite diplomatic talks, the war remains a brutal reality, and Moscow's military pressure is not letting up. At the same time, the West's political offensive continues in Munich. One of the key points of the talks was the meeting between U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. The aim is to maintain a common line towards Russia and prevent the Kremlin from dragging out the negotiations. Further trilateral negotiations are scheduled to take place in Geneva next week.
The surprise is that Russians changed, the leader of the group. This is a surprise to my mind because they want to postpone the decisions. But it's too maybe I'm pessimistic a little bit, but we count on Americans that we will continue and they will not give Russia to postpone or to say let's begin negotiations from the very, very beginning because we have the new group.
Washington emphasizes that the war must end, but at the same time points to the global mechanisms that continue to sustain it. It is not just about Moscow.
This war has to end. This slaughter has to end. It is, it's almost incomprehensible, the loss of life and the suffering that the Ukrainians are going through, especially as Russia attacks, their energy infrastructure.
NATO assesses that despite the Russian offensive, the Kremlin's strategic situation is not improving. Limited and slow territorial gains come at a heavy cost.
One, we have to realize the Russians are not winning this. As you said, they lost 65,000 people in December and in January. They are not winning this.
Hence, alongside the pressure for a diplomatic end to the war and forcing Moscow to negotiate, another game is being played between the West and Kiev. Today, there is open talk of Ukraine's membership in the European Union, although still without any specifics.
My feeling is that the member states are not ready to give a concrete date. There's a lot of work to be done, but I think the priority, the urgent need to move and to show that Ukraine is.
American diplomacy is also conducting parallel talks with global rivals in an effort to reduce the risk of direct confrontation. The line between pressure and escalation and total war is very thin here. The Kremlin, wanting to save face, may try to raise the stakes in this game.
Their national interest and ours were not aligned, and we owe it to the world to try to manage those as best we can, obviously avoiding conflict, both economic and worse. And so it's important for us to have communications with them in that regard. On areas in which our interests are aligned, I think we can work together to make positive impact on the world, and we seek opportunities to do that with them.
In the coming days, the talks between the U.S., Ukraine, and Russia, scheduled for Tuesday and Wednesday in Geneva, will be crucial, with territorial concessions being the main topic of discussion. At the same time, Ukraine is expecting new military and energy aid packages from its European partners before February 24th. Further decisions by the West will depend on the outcome of these talks and the situation on the front lines.